Hey, Andy here from builderhottub.com. In this video, I'm going to look at what's new with hot tub pumps. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so something a little bit different this week. I've actually got an interview with Chris Richard from Gecko Alliance. He's the product manager for pumps. So without further ado, let's go and jump straight into the video. Okay, so today I'm here with Chris Richard from Gecko, and some of you that have watched a lot of my videos on this channel will notice that today things are a little bit different in that there's somebody else on the channel as well. So Chris, welcome to builderhottub.com's YouTube channel, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me, Andy. It's really appreciated to be part of your channel today.
Yeah, well, it's exciting because you're the very first guest that I've ever had. So 500,000 views later, and yeah, I've got my first guest on the channel. So really excited about that. So Chris, can you explain for those that don't know what or who Gecko are, what you guys do, and then we'll kind of explain how this conversation has come about.
So Gecko is a spa equipment control supplier. It was established in 1990s and was a privately owned company. It's a Canadian-based company, and the headquarters are located in the beautiful Quebec City. We offer complete integrated range of product for the industry, starting from the main controller, keypad, lighting system, sound system, pumps, heat pumps, so name it, we have it. We're well known on the market for being in the innovative power. Our product are known for their reliability, and we put a lot of emphasis on our customer service and relationship. Gecko is the preferred supplier of 8 of the 10 largest supplier of spa in the world, and this for over 15 years now.
Wow. Okay, cool. So I must admit, I haven't supplied a huge amount of Gecko kit myself. I've done a little bit with some of my customers, but probably I should be looking more at that. But anyway, so the reason that this conversation has kind of come about is a couple of weeks back, I wrote an article about variable speed pumps and how that they didn't really have a position in our DIY hot tubs for the various reasons. So Chris very kindly reached out to me and said, well, actually, Gecko are doing a few things with variable speed. You should take a look. So fast forward, here we are today. And Chris, why don't you explain a little bit about what you guys are doing, with the pump technology and, specifically the variable speed side of things, and, and how that could help the DIYers that are looking to build, their own hot tubs incorporating your kit.
Yeah. So first, let's put things in perspective. All right. So I will say that efficiency is the topic of the day, and it's going to remain like this for a long time. Until COVID-19, the pump business was pretty archaic. A lot of suppliers that reviewed their design for the last decade. So it was always the same type of pump, same motors, same business over and over. Now with the energy crisis, people and manufacturers were looking more for saving energy going into a spa. When talking about classical pump, there's a lot of energy that is wasted from heat and also from friction. So the first step we took was to review pump design to reduce those loss from heat and friction, increasing efficiency. Basically, we're moving more water with the same amount of energy, and in some case with lower amount of energy. One of the fun facts is that we had some customer that were reclaiming 10 amps pump, and we had to fight with them saying, listen, this is a 8.6 amp pump that push as much water as a 10 amp pump. So there's a little of education to be performed at that point. Yeah. Second step, we introduced a new generation of low energy pump. So basically 2-speed pump, but in low speed, pulling as less as 0.8 to 1.2 amps. So those pump could be used as jet pump and circulation pump. And finally, as you mentioned, permanent magnet variable speed pump is the next step that we move forward. When talking about a large body of water, as you did in your previous post. For swimming his pool, it totally makes sense to introduce a variable speed pump, and manufacturers have done that like 10 years ago. And they got it right. The quantity of water, the number of turnover required for regulation, the type of filter, the time of the day, the energy peaks hour, the noise generated are all factors that make traditional pump obsolete in that pool industry. Now, considering our tub, you're also right. It's less straightforward. Quantity of water move is way lower. In theory, circulation pump could run only a portion of the day and still perform the minimum number of water turnover required by regulation. And for do it, you call it DIY, do you do it yourself? Sorry, I got it wrong.
DIY,
I'm French speaking normally, so sorry about it. It's sure that if we're talking about introducing a new product in a new environment, like a variable speed pump, it makes it more complicated, but I'll get there later. In other end, manufacturers put a lot of emphasis on crystal clear water with 24/7 filtration, sanitation, and all that stuff. And the chemical of a hot tub is different from a pool. So filtration and sanitation is a different beast with this. This being said, when we get I'll have to restart this one. And I was about to say that. And this is where a good variable speed pump is interesting. With the new technology that are showing up, doors are opening. With adapted control, we're not just thinking about deactivating a relay, but we also we can now send command to a pump to give instruction to the pump. So run in low speed for circulation, switch to high speed, and you can do basically what you want from it.
Okay, so let's just back that one up a second. So you said that rather than just turning on a relay, you're changing the way that the pump works. So it's a bit more like the digitally controlled variable speed pump on a pool, but this is now moving towards hot tubs. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So basically, we still have the relay that provide the power to the pump. For safety reason, you want to be able to shut it off if something happened. But there's also communication cable that goes from the main controller to the pump itself. So basically, the pack itself is generating the information on user demand and send the request to the pump, and the pump execute the request at that point.
So is that something that's proprietary to Gecko? So you'd need to match a Gecko pack, pack being the spa pack with the heater inside. You'd need to match that to the Gecko pump.
Yes, totally. And for the moment, I will say it's more specific to a certain type of pack and keypad that is supported. We will get there later with all the whole spectrum of our product, but we have introduction pack like the YE series and the K1000 are the first pack that are supporting the variable speed pumps. We have other keypad that will come later and other pack that will also come.
Okay, so those variable speed pumps. You've talked about the efficiency. So in terms of features, is there something that they could do that the traditional on-off dual speed pumps can't?
All right, yeah. First, let's talk about filtration and circulation. So basically, since we're talking about permanent magnet pumps and with a good design, where you're about to save about 25% of energy, not saving it 25%, but gain 25% of efficiency at that moment. Okay. So you could basically get your pump to run for shorter term, saving energy at that moment. But you can also have it when we think about jet. So you can activate the same pump for jet. So we're quite in line with two-speed pump. But now you can decide to set some hydrotherapy. So set some cycle, design how you want your jet to function. There will not be full on or full off now. You can have them.
You could have them pulsing, for example.
Pulsating, and you can determine the intensity of the pulse and the frequency of the pulse. And you can design a high intensity pulse, a low intensity pulse. So you get that hydrotherapy that you can set up.
So is that something that the user can design themselves? So that there might be pre-made systems for that, i.e., programs. But are they programs that can be altered by the user?
It's fun that you talk about it, and yes, they are pre-programmed experience that we've designed, but there's also with a user-defined interface that allow the user to decide how they like it. I've been displaying that in the show in Vegas last summer. So the setup that was presented in the show in Vegas was a user-defined experience that was presented.
Cool. So to get that, so we can do that today with the YE pack, the K1000 keypad, and then what pump would we need to be able to do?
We call it the VMS1, so variable maelstrom pump 1. To answer, it's not available today for installation. Yeah, we've signed an exclusivity with one of our customer, and that exclusivity will end in September. So for people starting their, I would say, investigation, certification process, and all that stuff, we can send samples and support them in getting integration. But it's sure that the full production of those pumps and full sales of those pumps will come later this year.
Oh, excellent! So it'll basically be in time for for the building season next year.
Exactly.
It's very defined. It sort of starts to kick off around March, and by the time you get to April and May, as we're recording, it's in full swing. So
that's the goal, and
that's kind of cool.
You were talking about feature. This fun because we've been talking about hot tub. Now let's talk about swim spa. Swim spa is probably the part of the market that is less affected right now by the crisis. And they're still growing. And until now, there was like 2 or 3 technology available in the market for swim spa. There were on-off pumps.
Yep.
There was setup of pump with valves that will, cut the power and activating one pumps or the other. So quite complicated logic and plumbing. And there was few variable speed pump that has been put on the market, we say with mitigated result at that point.
Sure.
Now, that deal that I've mentioned earlier is for swim spa mainly, and so we've developed that application. We've integrated what we call the swim coach that is used with regular swim spa with our variable speed pump. So for small swim spa, it's doing really great at that point. So for do-it-yourself
I can imagine. Because I do a swim jet myself, but that is, as you say, it's an on-off kind of experience. You do have a small amount of adjustment. You can adjust the angle, which will basically the angle of the flow of water, which will reduce the resistance for swimming. But I could just see being able to digitally dial down that pump if you wanted to swim slower or speed it up. I think that could be certainly something that would rival the hydraulic swim machines, which are $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. You'd be able to do that same kind of functionality for a lot less, which is kind of exciting.
Yep, that's pretty cool. Yep. Do you want to spend some time talking about the noise emitted by pumps?
Yeah, definitely. Because in some of the builds that I do, the requirement is that you can actually, shut these down at night, and they have to shut them down at night because there's basically too much noise for the neighbors. They don't want the filter cycles kicking in. And I know that some of the spa packs have had these kind of silent modes for some time. But what are you guys doing in terms of pumps and the noise that's emitted?
Yeah, and you're right, because I know that there's some regulation that limit the number of dB during the night emitted by a spa. So it makes things more complicated. Traditional pumps are noisy. Let's say that, specifically when doing the purge mode and all that stuff at night, it can get noisy and annoying. One of the main, I would say, noise generator on a traditional motor is the fan itself. Now, with permanent magnet and the way we've built the pump, it is water cooled. So we got rid of that fan. With a permanent magnet motor, you can go down to 6 to 7 dB compared to a regular circulation pump. So when talking about dB, if you go down by 3 dB, it's about half the noise pressure that you can sound. So if you go by 6 dB down, it's about a quarter of the noise of the actual product. So you can think about having a filtration mode for the daytime at higher speed, and for nighttime you can lower the speed to make sure that you still have that filtration, but with a small impact on the noise.
Okay, and if it's a fanless pump, what does that do for the enclosures where these are kept? So I mean, my guys that are building DIY hot tubs, we're always looking to put what I call the control room below ground. We need it because we need centrifugal pumps, we need to feed by gravity. But as soon as you do that, you've got potential ventilation issues. So what does that water cooled pump do for that?
So basically, it's recuperating the heat from the power drives and from the motor to a transfer plate or a heat sink that is located in the wet end of the pump, and transfer all the heat from the motor and the control to the water. So basically, we're still thinking about energy efficiency. That heat that is generated that will be loose or will affect other component into your equipment cabinet. We're recuperating that heat and pushing it to the water. So it's limit the usage of your regular heater at that point, because you're basically heating your spot with the pump. It's not a 5 kilowatt heater for sure, but it's that little part of energy is going to the water and help maintain the temperature. So if you get good insulation,
any kind of values on the amount of heat that's put in, or is it more like the heated blowers, which don't do a great deal?
I don't have any technical value because it's all related to the speed that you're running and the environment itself. However, I can tell you right away that we've put that pump in an environment chamber, and we've heated up at 110 Fahrenheit, and the pump never, the safety on the pump, the thermal cutoff never turned on, because we were cooling enough the pump by passing heat to the water. So we were cooling it enough so it can get very high underneath the spa at that point.
And does this add to the kind of longevity of the product, how long it's going to last? Because when you buy these things, you don't want them breaking and having to replace in a year or something. And the fact that it's running at lower temperature, less potential moving parts without the fans, that kind of thing. Is that all to do with making it more reliable and lasting longer?
Yeah, you're totally right. You bring all the aspect at that point, and we've also selecting the component, because that's a high value product. It's not a regular pump, so we want that product to stand. We don't want it to come back after 1 year. It's not good for us. It's not good for our customer either. So we've selected the best bearing set for the motor. We've selected the best grease for those bearing also, to make sure that it's gonna stand. So those are points that might be solicited. And with each generation, if you control the heat, you control the lifespan of a motor.
So we've spoken a bit about the product that's out there now under an exclusive deal that's coming to an end. What's next for Gecko? What's coming new next year?
In terms of pumps, we're getting that product out, and we'll start developing, I will say, on the roadmap of the product, new feature that will goes with. So first, that opened the door to integrating the spa and the I will say the filtration energy efficiency to home automation. At that point, we could connect our controller to home automation system or to energy provider system to determine what are the peak hour, and during those peak hour, limit the usage of the pump, maybe just stopping it completely, or by lowering the speed of the pump. By lowering the speed, you lower consumption. So those are things that is on a roadmap to integrate. adding value to that. There's also we call it smart filtering, smart eating. I won't go too much in the details for those, because I would say that's proprietary stuff that we'll have to do. Can understand that. But those are features that will be developed over the years. We have a pretty clear roadmap determined of what we want to do with that product.
Okay, that's really cool. I mean, the linking all of this with the likes of home automation and electricity monitoring, all that kind of thing. It's what a lot of viewers of this channel, they're doing already, but they're doing it, themselves. So the fact that you guys are stepping up as the manufacturer to bring something to the masses is really exciting.
Yeah, it is really. And we've did a survey lately calling all of our, we have that device we call the InTouch 2 that is allow you to with an app to control your spa. And we've reached out to all of our customer that has agreed when checking the boxes. We contact them to get feedbacks from the field to see what are your pain, what are your challenge, what do you would like to. So we got that contact. We're not talking only to manufacturer now. We're talking to end user, and we're aiming our product to the end user, basically bringing the request from end user to the manufacturer instead of being answering manufacturer and trying to push to end user. So we did a huge effort in the past few months and get very interesting results.
Okay, cool. So for any of the viewers watching, where can they find more information about Gecko and Gecko products?
All right, so we just put online our new website, which is geckoalliance.com, from where you can have all information for products, so control system, keypad, pumps, value-added accessories, very interesting, where you can find information about our different product accessories, so InTemp, which are in Heat Pump, InTouch 2, which is our application, InTouch IC, which is a dealer design application, so you can manage a fleet of a spa or rental spa. InMix, which is our lighting management system. We got also the InLumi, which are lighting systems, and the InStream, which is a high fidelity sound system, which can drive up to 200 watts output in a subwoofer. The InGrid, which allow integration of alternate source of power, source of heating. If you got gas heating and stuff like this, so by this device you can control the on-off of our external source of heating. And finally, the InClear, which is a bromine salt sanitizer that is very popular in Europe right now. So this is the brand new website that we just have put online 2 weeks ago.
So it's geckoalliance.com. Well,
yep.
Chris Richard from Gecko, product manager for pumps, thank you ever so much for your time and appearing on the channel today, and the great insight to where the market and certainly the range of Gecko products is going.
Thank you very much for your time and giving me that chance to speak about Gecko.
Perfect. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification icon to be notified when my videos go live. See, he's nodding along. I do 2 long form videos like this every single week, a whole bunch of shorts, and everything on this channel focuses on DIY hot tubs, plunge pools, and pretty much everything in between. I appreciate the view. Hopefully you've liked this new format. If you have, hit me up in the comments, give me a thumbs up, and of course I'll see you on the next video. If you've liked this video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next video.